Hey friends, this is Mark Suroviec, host of the WorkPlay Solutions podcast, inviting you to discover the joy of work. And we're live.
And that's scary today.
You know, we can edit anything we want. We probably won't, but that's fine. Hey, whatever. All right.
Here we are.
Man, I'm just excited, Rhonda. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I am good. I am excited for episode 1 of the WorkPlay Solutions podcast, Discover the Joy of Work.
Me too, and congratulations. This is a big moment.
It is. It is. And that sounds condescending the way I just said that. Let me try that again. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I know you know it is because there's so much involved with just getting to this point right here. So
yeah, I am thankful and I'm excited, and I don't want to ramble for too long. So let's go ahead and get started with an icebreaker question.
Okay.
So for those of you in the audience, all 3 of you, I did not prepare Rhonda with this question, so it'll be fun hearing her response, and I'll answer it too. So our icebreaker question today is, if an alien ship came down and set a death ray on you and melted off your arm, and you went to the hospital and they didn't have any prosthetic arms left, what would you replace your arm with?
a leg, and I'd walk on my side. That could be if there's legs in there, we could do that.
I think they're out of legs too.
They're out of legs.
So no body
Okay.
parts.
I'm going to replace my arm with, the first thing that came to my mind is a pitchfork, and don't ask me why, because I had this vision of just going, poking people in the side.
Are you going to storm Dracula's castle?
I might. I'm really not even sure why that came to my mind. So I'm going to go with it because it was there. I'm replacing mine with a pitchfork. And be careful, audience. You never want to get too close to, let's assume it's my right arm since I'm left-handed. So I can still do my writing and pitchfork people at the same time.
I didn't realize you're left-handed.
I am.
Okay, maybe we should switch sides on the table, but whatever. I'll go ahead and answer my own question. I'm already distracted and we're 2 minutes in. So if I lost my arm, I would replace it with an instant coffee dispenser. And by instant coffee, I don't mean like garbage instant coffee. I mean just coffee that would always be ready. So like a nice Sumatra or some dark roast. And I like a lot of frilly stuff in my coffee. So French vanilla and all that. So.
Question. Is all the French vanilla coming all out at the same time, or are you trying with your other arm to get all that in there at the same time?
It's like multiple spouts.
Nice. Yeah, but
we're new to this.
I must be in visions today because now I see this coffee leaking out of your armpit, and I'm just not going to drink any.
Well, it's not for you; it's for me.
Well, good luck with that.
I'm not about sharing.
Don't let my pitchfork knock you over.
Mom, Rhonda knocked over my coffee with her pitchfork. If you're still with us,
you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be. We are not professional at all. No, this is the WorkPlay Solutions podcast, and I'm here with my wonderful friend and professional coach, addiction advocate, and amazing human being, Rhonda Campbell, who is our, we'll say, not guest host, but a reoccurring visitor and special friend. Sounds super weird.
Yeah, that does sound weird.
That sounds weird.
Yeah,
a special friend.
Leave that one.
No, it's
Leave
cut.
that one.
One of the things we value about the podcast is being authentic. So we're probably going to leave most of this in because
it's good stuff.
Yeah, you get the real us. We don't want it to be fake.
And thank you for that introduction, Mark. But let's talk about you and what you're doing here, because this is big. And I'd like to take my hat off to your creativity and your big vision of this picture and your offerings to people to not have to do the workplace the way they've been doing it for years and years and years. And we are in a time of change. So your vision at this time is right on target.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the kind of the vision for the podcast and really the vision for the company is bringing joy back to work. So discovering joy at work, using anything that we know how to do, whether that's restoring purpose to our work, whether that's changing how we do things so that they're more effective, or we communicate better, or we know ourselves better, or we know our coworkers better, or we pick up tricks and techniques and things from other industries that really help us learn about what we're doing. As I've grown and developed over the last couple of years, at least several years, I think a lot of the things I've learned and grown the most in were these kind of secondary disciplines. So one of my pandemic hobbies was taking an improv class, and with our good friend Jim Karwisch, we love him. He's amazing. And we got about 8 weeks through the course. We're about to have our first live show, and then the entire world shut down. And God bless Jim. He just saw a need and switched everything to Zoom and collected a bunch of interesting folks across the world to have this improv class. All that to say is the thing that that I was most that I learned the most from was from this other discipline, and I didn't realize how much overlap there was between improv and facilitation and training and even communicating with folks. And Jim has great resources on those. He's a great facilitator. But yeah, I just use that as an example.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to start that little process with you too. And there is such an amazing correlation between those two, the acting and the being on, and no one to turn it off, no one to turn it on. There's a great, what would I say? There's a great value in improv, although it's not something for everybody.
And for the record, this is not a improv company. So
yeah, we're not.
If that was confusing to folks, we do facilitation and training and consulting and make cool things for interesting people. And so a lot of things we'll do on this podcast, we'll be talking to interesting people, many of which have a background in experiential learning. And one of my biggest lessons from graduate school when I was studying sports psychology was this idea of transferable skills. And so if you know something in one arena, you can use effort and energy to apply that knowledge to another arena. So this probably isn't a foreign concept to most of our listeners, but that has stuck with me for years. So if you know how to facilitate on a challenge course, those skills are transferable to a meeting. If you know how to facilitate a book study or a youth group or any of those things, leading discussions, leading people is transferable. And so we're going to be taking ideas from a lot of different places. One of the things I'm really excited about is we're going to be taking a deep dive into the mind of a facilitator. Thoughts on that so far, Rhonda?
Well, I just lost my train of thought. I looked out the window and there it went for all that. What I was thinking in there is that there are so many transferable skills. And sometimes when we get into the office and the meeting setting, we forget that we can smile and laugh too. So we take those skills so serious that's what I like to balance in WorkPlay solutions, is helping people remember that you do have a lot of skills. Take an inventory on those skills. See where you can use those skills and remember to have fun using them, because I think that's a lot of what's been missing over my years in my career, and especially in this block of time since 2019 going into this. So yeah, I love that. Using what you have, take an inventory, and see that you too have the same skills we have. We're just using them differently right now.
So Rhonda, tell me a time from your career when you were absolutely just engaged and invested and enjoying what you did.
When I was the director of education for the Bay Area Apartment Association, I was using my skills. I was in front of a classroom. I was teaching a nationally accredited certification for people in that industry, for managers and leasing folks and in that whole industry. And I found that was where I really learned that I do have skills, that you can talk and you can be in front of people, and things that I learned as a kid, I brought in there, and it was fun. I do like to have fun. So it was fun. Yeah. And I loved my boss then too. So that makes all the difference in the world.
It's not on the show notes, but I'm going to ask what made that boss such a good boss?
She was nowhere near a micromanager, and she could see talents that you had and maybe you weren't using and thread those right out of there for you and add those to your repertoire. And you'd be, I didn't even realize I could do that. And I liked her because she was an engaging speaker also. And I was able to learn from her and see her bring people in. And she was fun. She was a lot of fun.
Love it. Love it. So I wrote a little checklist here, just for myself to keep me honest. Actually, my wife is the one that really loves checklists. So she's, the person who, will put things on the checklist just to check them off that she's already done. I'm not that person. And those people are amazing. Thank you. You keep the world running. But in every episode, I want to laugh.
Good.
I want to tell a story and or hear a story. Mm-hmm. I want to spin the wheel of embarrassing moments.
Oh gosh.
And I've got plenty, so
I'm sure I do too. But mine might be off color. I'm really going to have to think about this one.
I want to share something we learned from someone else by name. Combined with that is this attitude or this idea of being grateful. I think early in my career, I didn't realize how much the people in the side of learning and teaching mattered. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't always take good notes or say, I learned this from this person. I learned this from this person. And I want to thank them. Fun story on that idea. I was at a small team building event in Ohio hosted at Barry Jolliff's barn with Sam Sikes and Jim Cain. And we were there sitting at the table and Jim had asked me, hey, what's one of your favorite group activities to do with a team? And so I started explaining this activity that is called Blind Cube, where you have pool noodles and you're blindfolded and you're trying to form a cube, and it's very engaging, it's very challenging. and Jim and Sam are just staring at me, and finally Jim just says, That's Sam Sikes. He wrote the book on the noodle activities. He wrote 50 Ways to Use Your Noodle and 50 More Ways to Use Your Noodle, which are fantastic books if you are in the experiential learning world. But I'm just going, well, it's a good activity. Thanks, man.
Thanks for writing that.
Know your audience. And so I thought I learned my lesson, and I didn't. So Jim's like, well, what's one of your favorite icebreakers? And I start to describe this activity called scar stories, where the idea is you pick a scar on your body and you start, or you tell the story of how it got there and what it means to you. And Jim just looks at me. He's like, that's from one of my books.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'm just like, I know when I was learning, when I was an intern way back in the day, no one told me where some of these things came from. And so I didn't know, and I couldn't thank those people. And so thankfully over the years, I've gotten to know some of these people. When I went to launch this business, Jim Cain was one of the first people to call me and congratulate me on the next part of my life. Super thankful for him. And, met with him and Jeff Goldberg, and we chatted about what it looks like to run a business. It was one of those things we didn't do. Maybe people did, but I didn't know that was important. And so I want to make that part of the podcast is being grateful, saying thank you. If anyone thinks they got here by themselves, they're they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue.
I love that. And not just even in offerings, just in people, really, just in the relationship. I know recently I've been doing a grateful thing for people who have said thank you, people who have moved on from our lives and they're doing something else and you had a part of it. That is a place to be grateful, because literally all that's still a learning experience. They taught me something and I taught them something. So, yeah, I love that. And I'm going to watch who I say anything to because Mark will say, I taught you that.
Some